Anytime you buy a house built before 1978, you have to sign this scary document about the dangers of lead paint. So today we are going to go over the dangers of lead paint and why I don't really like that form. This is Investing in Georgia. This is Georgia-specific information about construction and real estate, as I am a licensed Georgia contractor and realtor. My contact information is in the description below if you have any questions. Before I even start, I want to say that in no way am I an expert on lead at all. I am not EPA certified. I haven't taken a chemistry class since high school, and I probably did worse at it then than you did. My formal education regarding environmental science ended with my Boy Scout merit badge under the Clinton administration. So, however, I have renovated many houses and know a thing or two about lead paint and other hazardous materials. So let's go on in. So what is lead paint? Lead was added to paint to make it stronger and brighter. For this reason, it was primarily used in trim. It was used up until 1978 when it was outlawed, but even before then it was being phased out because people knew the health risks of it. And one story I've heard is that parents used to let their teething children actually chew on the windowsills. I have no idea if that's true, but kids put a lot of things in their mouth, so it seems potentially believable. And the form does clearly state that the danger is primarily to young children and to a lesser extent pregnant women. And I'm all for taking extra steps for the sake of children's and pregnant women's health. So why do I not like this form? 1, it distorts the real risks of lead paint. 2, there are much bigger dangers in your house. 3, it gives lead a bad name. And 4, the form itself is confusing. So, lead paint is bad stuff. It can kill. It's not as nearly as common or severe here in the United States as it is throughout the rest of the world. It is at its most dangerous when it's being sanded, when all those particles are getting up in the air. So if sanding is necessary, it should only be wet sanded. Everyone have HEPA masks, full body covering, and everything properly bagged and taken to a certified landfill, which is basically any standard city landfill. And you also got to make sure all the paint chips are picked up so they do not contaminate the soil. So it's dangerous. I'm not doubting that at all. You should be aware of it and it should be taken seriously. However, as long as it's painted over, it's not really a problem. And at this point, it's over 50 years, chances are, so it's under many layers of paint. Flaking, peeling, or chipping paint on a home of this vintage will not be approved for FHA loans if not repaired before closing. And for multiple reasons, I advise you to keep a close eye on what your kids are putting in their mouth, especially if they're chewing on a house. Unless you're at a construction site, it's pretty unlikely that lead paint is going to be any real risk to most people. All right, reason number 2, there are much bigger dangers in your house. Asbestos, for example, was used at the same time. It's in insulation, flooring, ceiling tiles, popcorn ceilings, roofing, wiring, siding. Hopefully I didn't repeat anything there. But that stuff shreds everyone's lungs apart from the inside out. Whether you are an adult or a child or a pregnant woman. Now, I've been required by the city to get EPA certification, to get an EPA certified company to remediate any asbestos before getting permits for my property. They've never asked me anything about lead. I would take a house with lead paint over asbestos any day. So how about some other dangers that are in your house to this day, especially for children? Bathtubs. You got natural gas coming in your house, you got electricity, you got glass, you got stairs, you got trees. But the one that kind of gets me the most about the lead paint thing is that it's distracts from the biggest danger of lead in your house, which is lead pipes. Lead water supply pipes were common until the 40s, but they weren't banned until 1986, which is 8 years later, and many are still in use. I have seen them. Many plumbers won't connect to them out of principle. There's no painting those. You can't just slop a coat of paint over lead water supply line pipes. Even asbestos is okay if it's not disturbed. Lead water pipes will constantly poison anything that drinks water from it. Reason number 3, and a much shorter and less significant one here. It just gives lead a bad name. It's kind of scary. But lead is actually a great building material when used on leaded glass windows, which are beautiful. Waterproof flashing, which lasts a long time. And shower pan liners, for example. All right. Reason number 4. Let's go through the form itself. All right, here we are. It's the GAR form, which is the Georgia Association of Realtors. Disclosure of lead-based paint. So, it's got this, anything about before 1978, this must be filled out. And it clearly states that it's the primary risk is young children. And I'm not even going to go through the scary part of what it is, but so the last sentence here is a risk assessment or inspection for possible lead-based paint hazards is recommended prior for purchase. I think that's a bit alarmist. All right, then so we got the seller's disclosure. Presence of lead paint and or lead paint hazard, initial 1 or 2 below. The section not initialed shall not be part of this exhibit. It's just it's a legalese, I guess. It's not really clear. So you initial 1 or 2 below. Whereas the known lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards are present in this house. Explained below. Then additionally, check boxes if additional pages of explanations are attached and incorporated herein. Or number 2, seller has no knowledge of lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards in the house, which is usually what everyone does, because unless they have specific knowledge about it, they're not going to hit 1. So in B, records and reports available to the seller, initial 1 or 2 below. The section not initialed shall not be part of this exhibit. So here we are. It's basically the same thing. Seller has provided the buyer with the available records and reports pertaining to lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards in the housing. List document below. So, or 2, which is seller has no reports pertaining to the lead-based paint. So usually you have 2 and 2, and the buyer acknowledges that you've received the copies of all the information, if any, listed above. Buyer has received the protect your family from lead in your home. And then here, buyer has initial 1 or 2 below, received a 10-day opportunity or mutually agreed upon period to conduct a risk assessment or inspection for the presence of lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards prior to being obligated under the purchase and sale agreement, which is kind of a sneaky way. I know some people try to sneak in like a little inspection period with that form. And I've heard different things about how much that it's actually effective, but I do know people do that. Or 2, waive the opportunity. Can you see this? Waive the opportunity to conduct a risk assessment or inspection of the presence of lead. So you can either waive it or not. Then the seller's agent has informed them of their obligations, and the buyer's agent has made sure they have all their information covered. Then everyone has to sign. So in summary, that form, along with the pamphlet of protect your family from lead or something like that. It's a 20-page document. It's got good information in it. That I just don't think that long of a pamphlet, in addition to this form written in legal, very specific legal form, does a really good job of describing what the risks really are and compared to other things. So I'm all for, additional things to protect children and all that, but I just don't think that the way this one is done is kind of, you know, the clearest thing they could have figured out. So there you go. But please correct me as needed, or if there's anything you want to share that I might have overlooked, um, please comment below. I hope you have learned something. If you did, please like, comment, share, or subscribe. And if you have any questions about Georgia real estate or construction, my contact information is in the description below. And this is Investing in Georgia. I am Alan. Thank you.